Hello, I'm Tony Vlahos for ExecuNet. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm speaking with someone who's on a mission about helping people create quality communications that add value. She is Sam Horn, founder, CEO of the Intrigue agency. A little bit about Sam. She's the author of the new release titled, I love this title, Someday is Not a Day in the Week. It's a motivational guide to help readers get what they want in life today rather than someday. Sam, hello. It's so great to be talking to you.
Thanks, Tony. I've really been looking forward to sharing some stories and ideas with our listeners.
I've been looking forward to hearing them. So I want to get to the book and the intriguing title and why you wrote it, but I just shared your mission and it's beautiful. I'm wondering if you can tell me about your why. Why is that your mission? How did you get turned on to that as a thing to do with your life?
You know, it all started at the Maui Writers Conference. I helped start and run this, and we did something unprecedented at the time. We gave authors an opportunity to jump the chain of command and meet face to face with decision makers. You could pitch your screenplay to Ron Howard, director of
Wow.
Apollo 11, but what we didn't anticipate is no one knew how to pitch. And I will always remember a woman walked out of her 10-minute pitch meeting with tears in her eyes. And I went over, I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I just saw my dream go down the drain." And I asked what happened. She said, "I put my 300-page manuscript on the table, and the agent took one look at it and said, 'I don't have time to read that. Tell me in 60 seconds what it's about and why someone would want to read it.'" And she said, "My mind went blank." She said, "It's so complicated, I didn't know where to start." And that next day, I talked with Bob Loomis, who is Senior VP of Random House. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Sam, we have seen thousands of proposals. We make up our mind in the first 60 seconds whether something is commercially viable." And that next day, I stood in back and I watched people pitching, and I could predict who was getting a deal without hearing a word being said based on one thing. Guess what it was?
I give up.
The decision maker's eyebrows. See if they're crunched up right now. Tony, crunch up your eyebrows. Do you feel confused? You don't get it? Well, confused people don't say yes. If the eyebrows didn't move, it meant they were unmoved or they'd had Botox. But if the eyebrows were up right now, lift your eyebrows if you would. Do you feel intrigued? Like you want to know more? That means we just got what we care about in your mental door. And that's when I became a woman on a mission. When I saw people who had spent years on a project lose people at hello because they could not in 60 seconds get across what they cared about so other people cared about it too, I thought somebody's got to do something about this. I'm as much as somebody as anybody. I'm going to do something about it. So I came up with a process on how to get people's eyebrows up, whether it's for our cause or our company or our campaign, so that other people are intrigued and want to know more.
Oh, what a great story and so true, right? So let's relate this to what many senior level executives go through daily. Sometimes they're in search and they have less than 60 seconds to be noticed by a recruiter, by some accounts 6 seconds to have their resume glanced at. And then there are those who are in role and are in front of stakeholders or their organization at large and hoping that they'll understand what the vision is and hoping they'll be able to communicate in a way that excites people to it. What's your advice to them? How do they pitch more effectively?
Here's what we're not going to do, Tony. We are not going to do what we've been told to do, which is tell people what we're going to tell them, and then tell them what we told them. That makes us a bore, snore, or chore. So here's a quick example of what we can do to get eyebrows up. And then there's 3 steps. And all the people watching and listening, as you said, whether they're walking into a board meeting and they're going to give a report or ask for funding or try and get an idea or project greenlighted or approved, this can help them get a yes to it. So 60-second example. You may know I'm the pitch coach for Springboard Enterprises. We've helped entrepreneurs get 8.8 billion in funding. So one of my clients comes to me, says, "I've got good news and I've got bad news." I said, "What's the good news?" She said, "I'm pitching to a room full of investors at the Paley Center in New York." I said, "That's great news." She said, "What's the bad news is I'm going at 2:30 and I only have 10 minutes. You can't say anything in 10 minutes. I said, "Kathleen, you're going at 2:30. You don't have 10 minutes. You have 60 seconds. And here's the 60-second opening we came up with that got eyebrows up, got wallets out, won millions of dollars in funding, and she was Business Week's most promising social entrepreneur in 2010.
Wow.
If you know, there are 1.8 billion vaccinations given every year. Did you know up to a third of those are given with reused needles? Did you know we're spreading and perpetuating the very diseases we're trying to prevent? Imagine if there were a painless one-use needle for a fraction of the current cost. You don't have to imagine it. We're doing it. She's off and running. Are your eyebrows up, Tony?
They are, and it took less than 60 seconds for me to raise my eyebrows. So that's really
And
cool.
And Tony, do you know how she used to explain what PharmaJet was? Is a medical delivery device for subcutaneous inoculations. A what? See, the same product, the same business, and she would have lost him at hello. So now I hope people are taking notes, because think of something they want to get a yes to. Think of a meeting they're going to be going into, a report they want to give, or a project they want to get green lighted. Step one, what are 3 did you know questions that your decision makers don't know about the scope of the problem that you're solving, about the urgency of the issue you're addressing, about the size of the market or the need that you're meeting? And if you're thinking, where do I find these startling statistics or this recent research? You Google that stuff. I know you have people in all different industries, from finance to tech to healthcare to retail, utilities, transportation. You just Google what are surprising statistics about blank, and then put in the industry you're in, or the problem you're solving, or the product that you're creating. Up will come things even you don't know. And if you don't know it, chances are they won't know it. Now they're intrigued, and they're smarter than they were 20 seconds ago. You just earned their attention because we have proven we're going to be worth their time and mind. So that's the first step. 3 did you know questions. Second step, write down the word imagine. Imagine this, imagine this, imagine this. Now think back to Kathleen Callender. You get in the mind of your decision makers. What are they thinking? What are they worried about, concerned about? What are they thinking about? They're probably thinking about those reused needles, so we made it one use. They're probably thinking about painful inoculations, so we made it painless. All decision makers think about money, so we made it a fraction of a current cost. Do you see how in a world of infobesity, we distilled into one succinct sentence? Oh, who wouldn't want that? Everyone in the room is thinking, sounds good. Who would want that? Step 3, you don't have to imagine it. We're doing it. And now we come in with precedents and evidence to show this isn't speculative. This isn't pie in the sky or an empty claim. This is a done deal. And here is our proof. All under 60 seconds, we just have people at hello instead of losing them at hello.
Infobesity is that, did you coin that word? Because
Yeah, what can I say?
That's extraordinary. And thank you for that, because again, whatever you're after, whether it's a new job or someone to want your product at some level, that's the way to do it. It's just awesome. Thank you. Let's talk about the book a bit. How'd you come up with that title, and what change are you seeking to make in your readers?
Well, first, thank you. And I owe it to my 20-something son, Andrew. I had just finished a very intensive 2-day consult, and he called and he sensed something in my voice. And he said, "What's up, Mom?" And I said, "Andrew, I'm so exhausted. I don't even know how I'm going to get on this plane tonight. I've got to fly back to the East Coast and then fly back in 2 days." And he was the one who said, "Mom, you've created a life where you can do just about anything you want, and you're not taking advantage of it." He said, "I don't understand this about you. You have your own business, and you have more autonomy than you think, and you are doing same old, same old." And I thought, out of the mouths of 20-somethings. So that day, I also saw a quote by Paulo Coelho, and he said, "One day you're going to wake up, and there won't be any time left to do the things you've always wanted to do." And so I thought, I'm going to make one day, someday, today, I gave away 95% of what I owned. I set out on a year by the water because I believe we can have the best of both worlds. It doesn't have to be either or. We can kind of evolve our business. And I can speak, I can write, I can coach on the road. So why not have an adventure and run my business at the same time instead of putting off those adventures for a someday that may never come?
Oh, so it's sort of like a travelogue, but not exactly. There's a journey that you were on,
You know,
and
Tony,
actually, but also emotionally and intellectually.
see, what you just said is so key because I would meet people and they would hear what I was doing and they would gaze wistfully off into the distance and say, someday I'm going to do something like that. And when I would ask them why they were not, they talked about their responsibilities. Well, I'm raising my family. It's, well, I've got bills to pay. I've got, people counting on me. And they see it as mutually exclusive. They see doing something for themselves as selfish and that they cannot be a responsible leader or a responsible business owner or a responsible parent. And I think that is a regret waiting to happen because when we model self-sacrifice, when we put everyone else first and ourselves last, we're teaching our employees that that is noble and the right thing to do. We are teaching our children that that is noble and the right thing to do. And I think ultimately it is unhealthy. Esther Hicks said, "My happiness is on me, so you're off the hook." I think it's I think it's noble to take responsibility for creating the quality of life we want now, not someday, and we can be responsible and take care of other people and take care of ourselves all at the same time.
Absolutely. And I want to tie that, Sam, to another pearl of wisdom that is in the book, and it's a strong theme, which is you're never too old for new dreams. And we find in working with senior level executives in particular who have been at their roles for 30, 40 or more years, that as difficult as it can be to stay where they are, they're even more afraid to move away from what they've been doing all that time. What is some advice you could give to them today?
Huh. Do you know what Jeff Bezos of Amazon says? The only danger is not to evolve. And do you know how you stop an aircraft carrier, Tony? You don't. I dated a Navy captain who flew off carriers, and he said that when you turn off an engine on an aircraft carrier, it keeps chugging along for 10 miles because it has so much mass and momentum. It just keeps going in the same direction. And I think that many of us are on aircraft carriers of habit. We just keep doing what we've been doing for years. And I believe that it is appropriate to fly off the carrier every once in a while. There's a whole big ocean out there to turn the carrier to explore different parts of the ocean. And so one of the ways I think we can do that is to figure out our happiness box. Do we have time to fill that out here on our call today,
Yes,
Tony?
absolutely. Of course.
Okay, because I've had people tell me, many executives who are responsible, have been taking care of everyone else for years, feeling the pressure of that, the burden of that, the self-sacrifice of that. And one of them told me, Sam, it's been so long since I've done what I want to do. I no longer know what that looks like. So right now, I hope everyone has paper in front of them. This is going to take 2 minutes. We're going to fill out the happiness box, which can help us get clear on one thing we can do this week to take more responsibility for creating a happy, healthy life, even when we have lots of responsibilities. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Okay, on this big box, draw a big box. Please
Got it.
divide it into 4 quadrants. So put a vertical line down the center and a horizontal line across the middle.
Check.
Now the upper left box, put a little 1 in there. Upper right box, put a little 2. Lower left box, put a little 3. Lower right box, put a little 4.
Okay.
Okay, in box number 1, what are you doing in your life that you want to? Just start writing it down right now. Maybe you're walking your dog every morning. Maybe you're doing meaningful work that puts the light on in your eyes. is maybe you're living in a city where there's lots to do. Maybe you are spending time with your family or with a loved one. So what are you doing in your life that you want to? Go ahead and put it down right now.
Got it.
Okay, box number 2. What are you not doing that you want to? Maybe you're not working out as much as you want to, or maybe you're not eating right and you want to. Maybe you're not writing a book that you've always thought about. Maybe you're not starting a business that you want to. Maybe you're not traveling. Maybe you're not inventing this product that's been on your mind for a while. So what are you not doing that you want to? If you're not getting enough sleep. Okay, box 3. What are you doing and you don't want to? Maybe you're commuting 2 hours a day and you don't want to. Maybe you're working for someone you don't respect and you don't want to. Maybe you are exhausted all the time because you are working 60, 70 hours a week and you don't want to. So what are you doing and you don't want to? Maybe you're fighting with someone you care about. You're in a conflict.
That's a tough one. Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
3 is a tough one.
It is very interesting. And why is it a tough one, Tony?
Well, maybe there are just too many things I'm doing I don't want to do. I need a bigger box.
And, hey, Tony, I'm very glad you brought that up because, see, we're racing through this right now. I would be glad to send the happiness box to you and you can send it out to your members so that they can take time and fill this out. In fact, I really recommend they fill this out with a partner, a business partner, or with a romantic partner, because it is going to surface things that maybe they feel they cannot say. They don't want to hurt feelings, or they don't want to admit to this. And those are resentments that are building up. And this box can be a catalyst for meaningful conversations. So we address that now instead of someday. So by all means, this box, go into deeper conversation about it later tonight over dinner. Sound good?
Sounds good. So on to number 4.
You bet. On box 4, what are you not doing and you don't want to? And I know that's a double negative. It's just that maybe what you're not doing that you don't want to is, I had someone who filled this out and she realized she is living out in the country because she has a dog. Well, she is out of the house by 6 o'clock in the morning. She doesn't get home until 7 o'clock in the morning. She feels guilty all the time because she never spends time with her dog. She never has time to get together with people at work after work. And what she did is she actually gave away her dog and now lives in the city, so she doesn't have to commute. She has a social life, and she gets to visit her dog on weekends when she wants instead of feeling guilty. So what she's not doing that she didn't want to is to live 60 miles and a 2-hour commute away from work every day. She never wants to do that again because she realized it ran her life and it kept her from doing many things that she wanted to do. So what are you not doing? Maybe someone used to smoke and they don't smoke anymore and they don't want to. Now let's interpret the answers in the boxes. Please circle the answers in 1 and 4. Okay. And guess what? Those are the answers to our happiness test. That's what's contributing to our quality of life. There's no mystery to it. We just said what's right with our life. Now circle the answers in 2 and 3. And guess what? This is what is compromising our life. These are regrets waiting to happen. And these are where the some days lurk.
Fascinating stuff.
And Tony, the whole book are stories of people who got clarity about what's working and what's not working. And then they decided to change one thing in box 3, which opened up time or money or energy or bandwidth to do more of what was in box 2. Do we have time for a quick example of that?
We do. Then I want to ask you one more question, but let's have an example.
Okay. There was a young man who wanted to start a nonprofit, but he had a secure job, was making good money, and he felt it was a risk. And he was also not working out. He was not meeting young women, and he was not starting this nonprofit because what he was doing that he didn't want, but that paid very well, was to have this corporate job. And he would come home exhausted. He would turn on the TV, and then at 11 o'clock, there he still was watching TV, go to bed, get up the next day, rinse and repeat, right? So Tony, guess what he did? He gave away his TV.
Not the TV.
And now he didn't have a reason to go home. So he went to the gym and started working out. He met a young woman who told him about this place called Affinity Lab in Washington, D.C. And for $100 a month, you could have a desk there. Someone walks by and says, Andrew, what are you working on? Well, I'm trying to get in touch with the Parks and Recreation so we can have this lake that we can rent for this activity. Oh, well, that's Rob. We're friends. Here's his number. Tell him I sent you. A month later, someone walks by. Andrew, what are you working on? Oh, I'm trying to do this grant proposal. It's so oh, here's our template. You know, we've gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're welcome to use it. Dreams for Kids has now helped thousands of young people get off the sidelines and into the games of life. And it may never have happened if Andrew hadn't done that one thing in box 3 and gotten rid of his TV.
What a story. He popped his happiness box right open by giving up one relatively stupid thing. What a story. So I want to ask you one more question, and it's about you in particular, you individually. If there's one thing you wish you could do differently with your career, Sam, what would that be?
You know, what a great question, Tony. I wish I had learned earlier that help is not a 4-letter word. Yes, it's a 4-letter word, but it's not really, right? Is that I ran that Maui Writers Conference for 17 years, and there were no other professional speakers on the island in those days. So I figured everything out by myself. And when I moved to the mainland, I joined a mastermind. And we're going around and brainstorming projects, and it got to be my turn. And I said, I can't think of anything I need help with, so I'll just give my turn back to the group. Well, thank heaven for Mariah Burton Nelson, who is head of innovation for ASAE. And she said, well, Sam, what are you working on? I said, well, I'm working on my website. She said, we can help you with that. And a half hour later, Tony, it was infinitely better. And you know what I realized? It had been so long since I had asked for help, I had forgotten how.
Oh,
You know, and now I'm a member of a mastermind, and we get together a couple times a year, and every single time they come up with ideas that never would have occurred to me. They give me contacts that I wouldn't have known otherwise. They expedite projects by coming in with best practices that would have taken me years to learn. So if I could do one thing differently, it is to realize that help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. And Lily Tomlin said, remember, we're all in this alone. I don't think we have to be unless we want to be. And I think it's a lot better to go it together than it is to go it alone.
beautiful. Thank you so much. We could keep these cameras rolling all day. But the good news is, for everyone who's tuning in, Sam will be back with me in October to do a masterclass, an executive masterclass, and we're going to flesh out these themes, and we hear more great stories. And Sam will share more wisdom from her life and her travels with you. But first, thank you, Sam, for making time for talking to me. I learned so much in the last 20 minutes, I can't even tell you. So with that, we're going to sign off. Good talking to you as always, seeing you, and bye for now.